My girlfriend, Jan, and I have been together for about 6 months. Jan loves bumblebees. She has a bumblebee tattooed on her forearm, which she frequently receives compliments on. She enjoys pinning insects and creating shadow boxes, primarily focused on bumblebees, and has several decorative paintings of bumblebees around her apartment. She was even thrilled to get one of the Minecraft bee toys that were part of the Happy Meals a few months ago. Jan has shared with me that her love for bumblebees stems from her childhood, where she would sit on her parents' front porch, captivated by the bumblebees flying around her. However, that joy turned to sadness one day when she noticed that the bees had been driven away by wasps. Last weekend, while we were at Jan's parents' house, she recounted this story again. This time, she pointed to a wooden sign hanging from the eaves that had holes bored into the back and added that was where the bees lived before the wasps took over. At that moment, I informed her that those weren't bumblebees, but carpenter bees. She looked confused and said, "No, carpenter bees are all black." I clarified that some do have yellow markings and that the only reason I knew the difference was because carpenter bees are the ones that burrow into wood. At this point, Jan started to laugh and cry simultaneously because it felt as though her entire worldview had been shattered. She realized that her love for bumblebees and part of her identity was built on a misconception. She had a bumblebee tattoo, pinned bumblebees, and had told that story countless times, always including the detail about the sign, with no one ever correcting her. Now, she feels foolish for being misinformed for so long, and as she began to look closer at the shadow boxes she had made or purchased, she realized that the bees inside were, in fact, carpenter bees. TikTok has even started suggesting videos about the differences between carpenter bees and bumblebees to her. I feel terrible for inadvertently correcting her and essentially crushing her love for these insects. I've tried to reassure her that her fondness for them and her memories haven't changed, just the name. I mentioned that most people wouldn't know the difference unless she told them. However, that hasn't provided her much comfort. So, am I the asshole for essentially ruining my girlfriend's childhood memories and making her rethink her personality? Edit. I just wanted to clarify, as it's been brought up a few times. Maybe I exaggerated a little in saying I ruined her worldview. While bees are a core memory and a big part of her personality, she does have many other interests and hobbies. Now let's hear what other Redditors had to say about this situation. One commenter noted, "Wait until she finds out Minecraft bees are honeybees." This adds an interesting wrinkle to the dynamic around her love of bees. Another person chimed in, "She loves bees. Period. Nothing has changed but the terminology." Some people really see this as a simple mix-up rather than an identity crisis. Another person said, "I just learned about carpenter bees last year. They're really sweet, gentle. Basically all the things we associate with bumblebees, just with less brand awareness." They went on to explain how it's all about reframing the appreciation. She loves bees, especially the gentle ones, which she used to call bumblebees but are technically carpenter bees. Honestly, it seems like this bee debacle has turned into quite the buzz. But what do you think? Was the op right or wrong here? Let me know in the comments.